So somehow TNA and Terry Taylor got involved. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh yeah, that's a story now.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I don't believe in like working the boys, so to speak. But Roger had this idea basically of me that was to come out there and TNA was supposedly going to buy out CWA. He's going to produce a check, bring
Mm-hmm.
in Terry Taylor,
Mm-hmm.
but he needed me to strictly make it legit. In other words, work the boys in the back. It didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so he really put the heat on me with that one, and I guess I pulled it off. I mean, in that regards. But
Yeah, because during the time I was gone, I can remember in other locker rooms, hey man, Rogers got this check from TNA. They're getting ready to buy it. And I'm like, what? Because I didn't believe it from the start. I was like,
right,
guys, look, I don't know what he's telling you, but I'm not a mark. If they wanted to take over Orangeburg, they wouldn't need to buy CWA. They would just come in and start running shows. I mean, I'm like, come on, dude.
exactly.
Um, but I know at one point there was a working relationship with TNA.
There was.
I can't tell you that. Um, anyway, go ahead and talk a little bit about that, and then maybe I'll fill in some background noise that you might not know.
Well, basically, Roger told me that when I did this, I'd basically have to disappear for a while,
Hmm.
stay out of sight, because he
Hmm.
had to make this as legit as possible. He had this thing where basically him and I would get into it in the ring.
Hmm.
He would accidentally backhand the cop, and the cop would lock him up and tote him out, which is what happened.
Right.
Well, it didn't help matters none. When he came down, he caught my elbow, and he was bleeding from the mouth and all that. So
Oh
therefore,
goodness.
it looked more legit. It was like really blood, everywhere, and it was him getting took him on the cop car. He
Hmm.
told me to run out the back, jump in the car, spin out the parking lot, which I did.
Hmm.
And I remember passing Josh Magnum in the back, and he had this real puzzled look on his face,
Uh-huh.
like he like I just betrayed everybody or something. So I really don't know what the guys in the back thought,
Hmm.
but I knew that's what Roger's intention was.
Hmm. What?
So
So what was the end game? I mean, because every angle has a beginning and an end, and I'm just wondering, what was the end game? As far as like drawing fans and stuff like that. Because by the time I got back there, I think I was on one show with Terry, and then Terry was gone. So,
I don't know. I think Roger must have had a falling out with some of them. And
uh,
one show he was supposed to bring in Samoa Joe. For some reason, Samoa Joe didn't show up, and
oh
there
yes,
was a lot of things, false advertising, and Roger was catching some heat from that from certain people, I guess. And I don't know the whole story, but I think there must have been a falling out somewhere.
yeah. I only know bits and pieces of what I was told, and
Right,
apparently I saw the promo.
right,
And just for people that aren't familiar, I think everybody that tunes into this channel knows who Samoa Joe is. So Samoa Joe was advertised for a show at the Jamil Temple in
right.
Columbia, South Carolina, which was the other building that CW ran predominantly in those days. And of course, there's no Samoa Joe. Now, I don't know the whole story, whether it was really a no show or it was just a false advertising thing, but Roger got in the ring and really kind of buried himself because he said TNA comes in and they steal ideas from us all the time, and the ideas you see on TV and TNA are his ideas. And I was like,
Right.
whoa. I was like, whoa. Whew. I mean, you talk about heat. And I think Samoa Joe got wind of it and didn't really appreciate it because I thought I saw some tweets or some interesting words that came from him. And I was
Right.
like, man, I was like, dude, I don't know what he's doing, but I don't think he really wants to go there. So, what did you think when you saw that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just for a second it did appear that TNA was pretty much taken over. I know, like especially in the Columbia Jamil, Roger was bringing a lot of names that's coming off the TNA roster. So apparently there was a working relationship there.
There was
So
there was at one time because I remember I don't know the details behind it, but I do remember
right,
they were sending Dusty Jackson everybody's intros for the guys we were booking, and I
right,
the last thing I remember doing creatively working on we were in one of those little booking meetings, and I said, well, we're doing so much with TNA. I was like, why don't we do an interpromotional thing? And I said, we don't. I said we don't want to win. I said let exactly, but don't bury TNA. We don't want to bury ourselves. We don't want to bury TNA either. I said let it end in like a tie.
Right.
And that's where we had. I think that was Canadian Destroyer. We had Petey Williams against Magnum, and no, I'm sorry, I'll take that back. That was before we had the Magnum Mania and Macho Mania, the Black Machismo, Jay Lethal.
Right.
And we had Daniels against Malachi, and I'm trying to remember the other matches. Oh, geez. And that was right before Dustin Rhodes got signed. I mean, there was he was getting ready to go to TNA because he was going to do the Black Rain thing there.
Right.
So, we worked that into the storyline. We don't know exactly where he stands. Who does he represent? And some other things. So that was the last creative thing that I did. And, but sounds like he was trying to work himself into a whole nother deal here. And I don't know. I can't answer him. Maybe I can have Roger on one day and he can explain that whole thing. But I was confused. I'm sorry. I think I might have a little bit of insight. If this was true, and I just, we're just talking here. I thought I had heard, well, at one point when we were at Jamil, and this was late in the game, right before I got ousted. Something was said like, well, we don't know about this TNA thing because they want us to build up the town, and then they'll come in, and then the only guys they're interested in using is is Timber and like they named a couple other names. And I said, well, quite honestly, I think Dave told me this. And I said, well, Dave, I can understand them wanting to replace me with Mike Tenay and, and somebody else because he's Mike Tenay. But I don't feel like that's fair to everybody else,
Right.
Because, we were the ones busting our ass, to make the promotion what it was.
Yeah, I mean, for a smaller promotion, I mean, there was a lot of fans that came to CWA. So I think it did have quite a following starting to pick up.
Production value as well. I mean, we had it over all the indies in the state, I thought.
Oh yeah, at that time I think that was the place to be, honestly.
So let's roll the clock forward a little bit. Now, you got into something, and then of course I'm back now. I have no creative influence whatsoever. I'm just a commentator at this point.
Right.
But the G-Funk homies.
Oh, good Lord.
You and Glute. Okay,
right.
Now, okay, so wait, you telling me you didn't like this? You did not like this idea?
It's just funny how that came about, how this thing with the hubcap started.
Well, the thing with the hubcap started, didn't it, with the whole Amber O'Neal? I guess I need to go backwards.
Yeah, Amber O'Neal was the reason for the hubcap. That's what brought that up. Something Roger had me do, and that some reason he had this vision of me out there with a spinning hubcap around my neck.
Well, I think she. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, I'm back at this point, and I remember these Amber O'Neal deals, and
right,
because we were doing that little recap show called Deja Vu, and I remember interviewing her and a couple other girls and stuff like that. So basically, it was like you're abusing your power, and she's this kind of power hungry gal, so she's going to get in tight with you and use you to win matches. I think that was the basic idea of it.
Yeah, that there was actually a show in Manning, South Carolina, that the crowd was completely dead. I mean, there was no response. You could hear a pin drop, and it was like Roger put Amber O'Neal in the ring in that match. And at the time I was doing the general manager thing, he comes to me out of nowhere and he says, Flex, he said, I need you to do me a favor. He said, go out there, tell Rusty, who was refereeing, he said, you take a referee shirt, you throw him out the ring, you're refereeing that match, do your magic, make the crowd pop, do what you got to do. And I'm thinking, how the hell is a referee going to make the crowd pop? So that was kind of like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
But the thing was, I guess the thing in Amber's character, I guess I just kind of played into her character to the point of where it ended up at the match, she was like dancing, and I can't dance honestly, but I sat there and played along with it, and it was like hilarious. And all of a sudden, the crowd was like really into this thing. Next thing I know, Roger tells me, "Go find a spinning hubcap." Then he starts playing this gimmick next week in Orangeburg, and that's when all that crazy thing at the college happened. Supposedly, it almost got us kicked out of there. It's supposed to be a Christian show at the time before I guess it became the other.
Right.
And I that was just something that happened. I played into the character a little bit too much, but unfortunately, there was a lot of heat on me from that, and on Roger from the women viewers, I guess, at ringside. So I don't know if I really had anything to do with that, but I got blamed for it anyway.
What? See, I don't. Well, I'm going to point out some part of the angle that I didn't quite like for Southern Methodist College. I thought this was a little bit controversial. There was a vignette, and there's a limit. They had got a limousine, right?
Right.
And so you and her come out of the limo, and like you're like buttoning your shirt back up, and you guys are all sweaty, and she's doing her hair like this, like, oh, I'm trying to get my hair back right before I go out here. The implication was you guys were making out in the back of the limo, is what it was.
Yeah, and that was not cool because I'm thinking my wife finds out, she wasn't there at the time. I'm thinking she's gonna kill me. And his idea was, make sure your pants drop to your ankles on the way out. And I'm thinking, nah, that's a little bit much.
Wait,
yeah, that was a little bit much.
Now that didn't happen, did it? I don't remember that one. He wanted you to do that?
Yeah, Roger wanted me to do that, but they scrapped the idea because I guess a lot of fans came out and was watching them filming the limo, so they scrapped the idea at the last minute. But that was Roger's intention. But the thing was, okay, so he puts me out of refereeing with Amber O'Neal, right?
Sure.
And he wants lipstick on me and all this crap to imply all this here, and I'm thinking, okay, this is a Christian college. I don't think this is gonna look too good. Well, Amber gets in there and does some provocative type stuff that does not exactly go well with the Christian theme, as far as all that in the ring. I'm thinking, oh, geez, this is not cool. But it was only a few weeks earlier, I got the Rikishi, if you know what I mean, and everybody was okay with that. So basically, she did the same thing to her opponent in the ring. So I thought, I just got caught up in the moment. I just fell in the corner like, I'm here, and next thing you know, that happens, and I'm like, oh, that did not just happen. And it wasn't like it was planned, scripted, but I didn't think she was going to do that. But she went, right into it. I'm like, this is not cool.
Yeah. Well,
it was funny, but not funny,
Just from what I remember about her, she, and I don't know if she still is or was married to Luke Gallows at one point, but I mean, that girl was willing to do whatever to get over. And I think the problem was that as we drifted into more risque territory, like that was going to get us some heat with, the Christian college that we're, having these shows from. That's where we had to go to the armory, bro.
Well, Roger claimed I got us thrown out of there. He blamed that on me.
See, that's not right. Because you're a performer. You're only doing what the office told you to do, right? I mean,
exactly.
I don't know why. I don't understand why the heat went on you. I do remember a similar situation with Malachi. I don't remember the exact details, but he caught heat for something that happened over at Southern Methodist. And I'm like, man, come on, take some. I'm not trying to bury the guy, but I'm like, take some responsibility. It's your promotion,
Right.
I think if somebody had said something to me and it was my CWA, I would just say, you know what, I probably crossed a line here, and we'll never do anything like that again. And meanwhile, I would have been looking for another building if that was what I wanted to do,
Right.
So, I'm never going to forget that limo scene as long as I live. I don't think, unless I just get terrible Alzheimer's, because I just remember the thought that ran through my head. Joey Nuggs was like the main heel manager there, and he was also my broadcast partner. And well, I'm just saying that because people don't exactly know who he is on this channel. I think it's the first time I've really mentioned him. But so we're sitting there, and he looks at me, and I look at him, and I was like, I don't know about this one.
Yeah, that was a little extreme for that situation. And then
So
you put everything up.
So as a shoot, your wife was legit upset, or she didn't find out about it until later?
She found out the next show because Roger did a recap on the video screen, and she's sitting in the crowd, and he says, "I'm sorry, Flex," and I'm thinking, "Oh, geez, I'm gonna get it now." So it was not a cool thing, But he tried to put my wife in the storyline, but she wouldn't have it.
Oh God, no.
No, his idea was me to go out there and start dancing a fool with Amber O'Neil. My wife come out the back. Oh, I see what you do on Saturday nights. Grab me by my ears and drag me up the ramp, slapping me like a henpecked husband. And my wife wouldn't do it. My wife refused to get involved with this, but that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah, and I could see where that would be funny in some ways, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, line. Now you're gonna cross it. Now you're into my personal life, because I know there were not in CWA. I'm just speaking out loud. There were some ideas about, maybe me and other girls at the time, because I was playing that managerial role, like, I'm rich, I'm can do whatever I want kind of thing, and then involving my wife, and it's the same thing. She's like, no, I'm not doing that.
Right.
And I told her, because she got smartened up way early. I mean, when I first started doing this, she was already like, working the door and helping with concessions, and she was always involved.
Right.
So, and we never kept any secrets from each other. And I said, look, if they try to put this together, I'm just telling you, it's a piece of business, And I don't know if she still would have been cool with it or not, but thankfully it never came to that point.
Right.
With some of these, because you can get in a weird gray area with your real relationship versus a kayfabe one and stuff like that.
Right.
So now we go. The Amber thing goes away, and now you're with Glute, Sandy, who I love. But you were referring to earlier, like that was so after the hubcap, that wasn't really your thing. You wasn't feeling the homies, or what's going on there?
Well, I made it work, but Roger basically used a combination. What he did, basically, he put Glute or Sandy into the same gimmick pretty much, and put us as a team, but he also brought in like BJ Hancock. So it became almost like I was a third wheel in this situation. And I was becoming more of like outside cheerleader and all this stuff versus actually in the ring and stuff. So I felt like I wasn't getting the ring time I needed. And you take a guy who doesn't wrestle, or like somebody's not playing sports, doesn't get on the field, they're going to get rusty. They're not going to be good.
Fans, we are just minutes away from the over-the-top rope two-ring battle royal. The wrestlers are drawing their numbers. In fact, Johnny Flex and BJ Hancock are on their way in here to draw their numbers for this battle royal.
Woo! Come on, Johnny, come on. Come on, big money, no whammies, and stop. Come on, Johnny, what you got? No, come on, okay, my turn now. Yeah, spin that thing, baby,
I'll spin it.
Oh, yeah, flex size power, about to show what it's all about. Here we go, and aha, okay.
What number did you get, BJ?
Hold on, what number did you get?
I'm not gonna tell you my number.
Tell you what, show you mine if you show me yours. Whoa.
Now, wait a minute.
Not like that, whoa.
That's more than I needed to know, gentlemen. We'll see you guys in the battle royal a little bit later on.
Okay.
And he never really let me wrestle a lot. He mainly kept me as a gimmick, more or less, and I wanted to be in the ring wrestling more, just sitting on the outside looking in,
Mm-hmm.
That's where I had the problem with it.
Okay, is that where the kind of the split came? Because there was one, right, and it was kind of not so a not so friendly split, or am I putting words in your mouth? If I am, just tell me.
Oh, you mean when I walked away from CWA?
Yes.
That came to a point where Roger comes up to me one day and he's like, all the guys back here, he didn't say which ones, he said, they want you gone. But he said, I'm not going to do you like that.
All
They
the
don't want you
guys?
here. Yeah,
I'm
he
sorry
said
to
they
hear
don't
that.
want you. He said they don't want you here. He said you're not wanted here. And then his wife at the time, I think they've been divorced since then, but she come up to me and said, Flex, she said, you got too many personal issues. You're mental. You can't wrestle here. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I got issues, but I've never jeopardized anybody's safety in the ring or done anything to be approached like that. So that didn't set very well with me.
That's surprise. That's okay. I'm like I said once again. I'm not trying to bury anybody, but that shocks me that she would say that.
Yeah, she did. And I liked her and all, but she said, no, she said, you're not allowed to wrestle. And Glue came up to me that night and he says, you can be around outside the ring, but you're not allowed in the ring anymore. Roger has banned you
Wow.
from the ring. And I'm like, well, what the hell? Why am I banned from the ring? I'm like, what have I done so bad to be banned? I mean, what am I missing here?
What was there an incident or anything, or you just not one thing you can point to?
Well, I don't know, because I mean, I don't know. For a while there, I guess I was the body double for Roger under of a character. He'd done 3 mask characters over the years,
Right.
and that's what got me too. Okay, I would go out there and double for him. Sometime even be on the opposite side for him and wrestle under his character and
Sure.
look pretty good actually. But
Right.
as myself, I was more the joke.
Mm-hmm.
But and I said, Roger and I had this love-hate relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And this may or may not have anything to do with it. But one night he brought in Robert Gibson, it's probably Ricky Morton. But Ricky couldn't show up, so he teamed with Robert, and I took on his brute force character along with his tag team partner.
Right. Okay.
And his tag team partner was actually, he's a little older than me. He's the son of Billy Brash.
It's Billy Brash's father. Yeah.
Yeah. So he actually went to school with me. And him and I could have some chemistry. We worked a match together before. But he looks at me, he said, Flex, he said, we need to stretch Roger out there. What do you say? And so we stretched Roger. And we basically worked him over big time. And I mean, it wasn't exactly a work. I mean, me and him, I was kind of like getting my frustrations out in the ring. And after that match, Roger said, you worked the old man over, but that's okay. And he looked at me like he shook his head like he was disappointed because I was always his go-to guy. And that was probably the biggest mistake I ever made in wrestling.
So, okay, let me just kind of, I'm organizing my thoughts here, and I'm going to recap this. So you were frustrated,
right?
The way things were going,
right?
And like I said, and I'm not trying to call out. I can't even remember the gentleman's name, but I knew he was Billy's dad, and he was a tag team partner in Brute Force, and apparently he must have been upset about something too, to even suggest let's stretch him, right? So he was having some frustration.
I guess because truthfully, he could flat out work, and he hadn't been in the business that long.
Yeah,
I guess him and his son came and trained under Roger. Been out in there a couple of years, and next thing I know, he's Roger's tag team partner.
Well, I will put Billy Brash over any day of the week because I love.
Oh yeah, he was good.
And as far as his dad, I would always say, well, it's the good half of Brute Force.
Yeah, he could actually work. And if we got in the ring together, we could actually work something. But you put me and Roger in there. Only thing Roger ever did was drive his elbows on my skull and give me a migraine.
Yeah. So man, I'm only speculating here, John, but this is the first I knew there was something going on. It's the first I've heard of this story. And now I'm very fascinated. Do you think there was some, and I'm just speculating here, and now this is like a TMZ interview. You think there was some heat there because you were working his gimmick better than he could?
That I don't know, but I honestly think I took on the role of him very well, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know if people realize, we switched like that because some nights, he'd be on the microphone and we'd be wrestling each other and I would switch characters going from Johnny Flex to Brute Force. And I don't know if people even knew it was me under the hood. Maybe so,
did,
but.
And I remember one night you did Red Dragon, which was another one of his gimmicks. And you walked
I did Red Dragon?
You rocked the ropes just like he did. And I was like,
I tried.
You did. No, you pulled it off. And I was like, man, because I was doing commentary. And once the camera shut off or whatever, the mic shut off, I looked at Nugs and I said, look at Flex out there. I said, damn, Flex can go. And they put him in, and I'm thinking they put him in this, I'm sorry to get heated, but they put him in this silly shit. and nobody can really see what he does, what he can do. Like
That's just it.
You impressed the shit out of me. I was like, dude, I was like, this poor guy can work.
I've had a few breakout moments. Really, I have at times. I mean, but I guess it just kind of deflated my what is it? I don't really have an ego or anything, but I think it just kind of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but it deflated me, in other words.
Buckled your confidence, or
yeah,
affected your confidence.
And see, my big mistake was during the CWA time. I was pretty young then still. Well, I don't know about young, but I was in my early 30s and all. And here I am, 51. But during that time, other guys worked different. Different venues.
We're around the same age. I mean, I'm a few years younger, but I turned 49 this year.
Right.
And I think that's probably where we got along, because we're like roughly the same age. We're kind of growing old together in the business. You know what I mean?
Right.
So go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. But I think, I was in CWA so long, but I was kind of like so low, and I was one of these guys that, I would sit there after the shows, break down the ring, do all the stuff that usually guys, getting started did, but I was always that go-to guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was loyal to Roger, but my problem is I was not loyal to myself. I did not venture out very much in the other promotions. A couple times OSCW. I went to WrestleForce a couple times.
Brother, they loved you there in OSCW. I'm not exactly sure what happened or why the booking, more bookings didn't happen, but I can just remember. And somebody said to me one day, they said, what happened to the exercise guy? Because you did the traditional Johnny Flex a couple times there. And I said, man, I don't know. But you got to remember, in OSCW, guys would contact me all the time, and I'm like, look, I have nothing to do. I guess they thought, because of CWA, at one time I had some stroke.
Right.
They thought, oh, well, this is Willis's or Vanderhoff's or whatever you want to call me. This is his hometown, so I'll call him to get a booking. And I'm like, well, you need to call, Joe or Bob or whoever was running things. They kind of, now in their case, kind of both of them, one's booker, one's promoter. And I said, you need to talk to them. Well, you can't get me on the show. I'm like, I can lobby for anyone. Right.
Right.
But ultimately, the booker and the promoter is going to do what they're going to do. I only have so much, and it was the same thing in CWA. I was like, man, yeah, I'm part of that. But, Roger's decision is final. It's kind of like Vince McMahon, it's like, what he's going to do what he wants to do. And bro, I'm with you on, like I said, I'm not here to kick a guy when he's down. I'm not trying to do a burial here, because I've been accused of that on this channel. But Roger was going to do what Roger was going to do. And I told Johnny Blaze when I interviewed him, I said, man, I got a lot of heat for things that weren't my fault. And I think you've definitely experienced that too. Absolutely.
Oh man, if I went anywhere wrestled, it was like I got the third degree, and it was like Roger made me feel like I wasn't loyal, and I don't know why I even let it bother me, or I even cared, to be honest, because I was only hurting myself. Because had I went other places, I'd have got more experience, more ring time probably. And in hindsight, looking back, I wish I had never done that.
Yeah. Well, I remember, wasn't there an issue? We went to, we went to NCW one time, right? Or you just happened to be there?
We did.
And by this time, at that time, I wasn't doing anything with CWA or anything. And I forgot who was running that at the time. I don't know if it was Donovan Cruz or Norton Lewis or one of those guys. But anyway, whoever was running the deal up there just said, hey, you've worked with Flex before, right? And I said, oh, of course. He said, well, you go out there and manage Flex against John Schuyler. I'm like, perfect. We all know each other. So, it'd be an easy night. And that's what we did. And I thought it went well. And I was like, I was happy for you, because you were branching out. And but I did not realize, and like I said, some of this was hinted at on social media. and things like that. And I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want this to be burial, but at the same time, I wanted you to be able to tell your story.
Right.
Because I don't think the whole thing was ever told, and now we're kind of getting to the crux of it for the people that would want to know.
Right.
So what's the aftermath? You just stopped wrestling, or the opportunities weren't there, or talk to me a little bit about that.
You mean after CWA?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just stayed low key for a little while, and I did do a couple of shows after that for WrestleForce, and one charity function I did about 2 years ago. But I just kind of like sat out, wishing I was still back in. But I started thinking, well, I'm getting older now. But then again, look at Mae Young; she did that for years, and age was nothing to her, so that can't be my excuse. But yeah, I miss it. I mean, but same token, I just feel like going to a show now to be sent out there and basically in the ring for like 1 minute and I'm out, whether it be a squash job, whatever, that's kind of pointless because I can't get out there and do what I do best in that little bit of time,
You're a performer and you want to perform. That's it, right?
Yeah, I'm more of a performer than I was a wrestler. I mean, that's the honest truth. I mean, I'm more of like, an entertainer. I'm not the greatest wrestler, but I do know some wrestling moves here and there. I just, the gimmicks pretty much require me to take on that persona of, this goofy guy who, can't find his way out of a wet paper bag, so to speak. But
I forgot where you were. Heck, this could have been CWA also, but you were wrestling one night and then all of a sudden you hit a cutter or like an RKO type thing. And I was like, damn, that's as smooth a cutter as I've ever seen from anybody.
Yeah. Palmetto, that must be Palmetto Championship Wrestling.
Might have been Palmetto.
I did go. Yeah. Shane Dorr, that was his promotion with Thurman, which was Moolah's nephew, and at the time. But they've kind of gotten pretty big now in the Carolinas anyway.
Yeah.
Very good promotion, but I wrestled there for a little while.
Over if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I did wrestle there for a little while, and if I could again, I'd love to go back there. It's just, like I said, I don't know where I would fit in because I've always kind of felt like on the outside looking in wherever I've been. For some reason, I don't know. That's just one of the personal demons, I guess.
We have some his eat, so I don't want to publicize them too much, but they are here, and it is an option for guys, and that's all I'm going to say.
Right. Yeah. Well, I know, like now, you got this AEW group that came out about 2 years ago. That was a great day for me because I always wanted to see somebody besides Vince McMahon out there because when WCW got shut down, man, I hated that because a lot of guys lost their jobs, didn't have anywhere to perform. And you got one guy that's a tyrant over the entire wrestling, and it's like, I'm glad to see AEW come along.
Yeah, and I mean, WCW shut down and I'd been in the business a year. And I was like, great. Now there's only this one place, and there's all this talent, and they got no place to go. And then, of course, TNA came along, but still, that there weren't any opportunities. I think I got about 5 years into the business. I gave up on trying to make it. It became more like, well, I'm on this ride. Let's see where it goes. Let's see where the plane goes, or whatever you want to call it, the ride or whatever, the plane, the boat, whatever. Let's ride it out and try to make, have some fun with it. Were you one of those guys like me? I hear people tell this story all the time. Oh, you'll never make it. You're too this, you're too that. We kind of touched on that in the beginning, didn't we? I mean,
yeah, that was kind of story. Yeah, that was kind of the story with me. I was the skinny kid, not so much anymore, but I was that kid that was never going to be anything, and that was another reason that drove me to pursue this.
Absolutely.
But I think that the interesting reason I didn't pursue it further was, I got married at 19 and started a family. A lot of those guys were gone all the time, never saw their kids growing up, and I wanted to be a dad in their life. So I did this on the weekend, maybe a couple shows during the week.
Sure.
But I knew if I pursued that, I wouldn't be a family guy at all, probably, because I'd be gone all the time.
Right.
So that was another struggle I had.
Yeah, I had similar issues. I got in now it wouldn't seem like that at all. Because guys are working into their 50s. Some guys,
Right.
but I was 28 when I started, and
Right.
I already had a family
Right.
going, and I did say, one time I said I don't want this to be a burden on them, and they were
Right.
like super supportive. They knew it was something I always
Right.
wanted to do, and but at the
Right.
same time, it's like there's certain sacrifices you have to make, and I talked about we talked about this with Skylar on the show, and you got to be
Right.
willing to make those. And family is something I didn't want to sacrifice. Um,
Yeah.
my kids were young then, and they're going to school, and I was like, what if you did get hired by the Fed or somebody like that? Now you're on the road, 5 days a week or 6, depending on the schedule. What if you have a European tour and you're gone for 10 days? You know,
Right.
um, you know, and that's puts a tremendous burden on my wife to raise our children and to try to make sure they get to school and stuff like that. And it just was ultimately it's just a sacrifice I wasn't willing to make. And
Right.
you have a son, right?
I have two.
You have 2 sons,
Yeah.
and I'm not. I'll cut this if you want me to cut it. But your son has
No, it's
autism,
all.
correct? Your son has autism, correct? One of them does.
Yes. Yes. My youngest son, he does, and that's a different challenge in itself. It really is.
Right. And you don't want to be gone through, things like that.
Well,
It's a challenge,
yeah. Because I mean, he even lives at home now. I mean, he's 27, but his mind's
Yeah.
more of a kid mindset,
Sure.
and he pretty much goes everywhere with me. So I think that plays a lot into it.
Yeah, I think so too. So,
No, man. I mean, I don't have any like hard feelings towards anybody or anything like that.
mhm,
I think just like I said, it's the main thing was I wish I had went farther than CWA once I got involved with that because
mhm,
I would have been so much better
mhm,
and could have branched out more and it is what it is. But here July I'll be 52, but
mhm.
a part of me says maybe there's one more left in me. I don't know.
Yeah,
They never say never.
yeah, here's the question. Are you retired?
I cannot say that because it's never say never. That's my
Yeah.
mindset. And look at May. She didn't reach her prime I mean, in her 70s before she made it,
Oh yeah.
where the spotlight. So age is just a number for me, but I would never say never. And maybe it's way out of my league,
Mhm.
but AEW, they got this thing, all talents are welcome. Well,
Yeah.
I see a lot of guys working on there. Some of younger kids, getting started.
Mhm.
But I know several people that's on there, James Drake and Skylar and
Mhm.
Jake Manning was on there tonight. And I said, wow, that's pretty cool to see guys I've been in the ring with. So, who's to say I couldn't make it there or at least get a shot?
You never know. Hey, you never know. Heck, if you went there once and worked a 5-minute match, all of a sudden your fee goes up on the independents, right?
Yeah, man.
That's what I've seen a lot of other guys do.
Yeah,
But right opportunity, right time, right? Never say never.
that's it.
Johnny
Never say
Flex.
never.
Johnny Flex. Find him on, find John Cook on Facebook if you don't mind me saying that. And hey man, give him a shot. Just never
Yep.
know. He's got. I feel kind of the same way. I got one more run left. I'm getting older, but I've got to. But guys like you and I, we got to stick together, man. We've got tons of experience, and maybe we could come in and help some of these young guys. Advice.
Yeah.
God, just being on the road. And how you deal with stuff like that. There's uh, I don't have as much time as I used to, but because I'm pretty dedicated to this show and
Right.
my stuff on YouTube. But I'm like you, right place, right time, right opportunity. Sure, you know,
Yeah, man.
I'm not going to travel thousands of miles. I think to do it. I don't have AEW aspirations for sure, unless just Skylar called me one day and this would be a pipe dream. Hey, I need you for a one-off. Because I did say something the other day to him. I'm like, man, it seemed like every time you go out there for singles, you got to wrestle like he wrestled like Orange Cassidy in private parties out there with him. And they got like 3 people. And I remember he wrestled Billy Gunn, and the son was with him. And I'm like, geez, do you ever, you're supposed to be his heel, brother. I'm like, why do they need like multiple people to deal with you? Oh man.
Yeah.
Good times.
I still say John's going to make it. He's going to be on the mainstream for it's over with. I think he's got a lot of potential.
I think so. Well, and this is just you and I talking right now, but I mean, he had that match with Orange Cassidy on Elevation, and according to what I heard from John, John asked to be on that show,
Right?
And because now he and Paul White have a rapport, and they're both South Carolinians, man.
Oh yeah.
So that's cool. Like I said, and again, that kid's living his dream, and I'm proud of him, and I'm just glad that I could kind of point him in the right direction. But
right.
I take no credit for his career. That guy he had a chance to run with the football, and the first time they gave him the ball, he just ran and scored a touchdown. And that kid's still scoring touchdowns, so good for him, And I'm proud of, and like you mentioned, J.D. Drake and oh gosh, Jake Manning got a match on there, and Savannah Evans, who's a tremendous female wrestler, has been on. And other guys that we know from the Carolinas, and I'm like, man, kudos to them. That's just fantastic. And hey, kudos to Tony Khan and Cody and all those executive VPs they have, because if they didn't do this, if they didn't take a chance on that one pay-per-view, they took it as a challenge to draw 10,000, we wouldn't have an AEW, and guys wouldn't be getting these opportunities. So, yeah, my hat's off to them. And I can tell you what, I'd much rather watch 2 hours of Dynamite than watch 3 hours of Raw right now, because Raw is boring.
It is. I'm more into the AEW product myself.
So step up your game, Vince McMahon, or Hunter, or whoever needs to step up the game. Actually, I still like NXT. I'll watch a takeover anytime. It's good stuff. But anything else, man?
No, I was going to say, about speaking of Mae Young, the time she was in the Attitude Era, some of the things Vince did with her, I really didn't think too highly of that. But Vince gave Moolah and May 10,000 apiece to wrestle each other in lingerie. I'm thinking that's got to be one sick man.
Oh God. I remember, oh my gosh, this was wild. Like, Stacey Carter had just shown her boobs on pay-per-view, right?
Right.
Like, they said it was an accident. She was supposed to be covered, but I mean, I think that girl knew what she was doing. She went all out, right? It was just that era in wrestling. And I said, oh man, they went there. So with eager anticipation, I ordered the next pay-per-view just to see what she's going to do, right?
I hear you.
And she's got the bubble wrap bikini and all that. And then here come May. And she tells Jerry Lawler, I'm here to show my puppies, right?
Oh, my God.
And she drops her top. And he goes, oh, my God, those aren't puppies. Those are Shar-Peis. And I'm dying laughing. They had, she was fearless. She would do anything. So, so I know the respect and the love you have for her, that being, your girl, your trainer and everything. And, man, I just have good memories of her on television. So, John, I'll probably leave it right here. I don't want to take up your whole day, but,
okay. Well, I appreciate it, man.
Hey man, John Cook, aka Johnny Flex, thank you for being on the Willis Show, man. Thanks for being on, man. I appreciate talking to you, and all the best to you.
Oh yeah, man. Hope we'll see each other on the road again someday.
I hope so. I hope one more time anyway. See you in the ring.
Never say never, right?
Hey, never say never. Who knows? You could be in the ring, and I could be in the ringside with you. Who knows?
Make it happen,
brother. I'll put on a headband one more time. I could still be Reginald Vanderhoff in a headband. I could say, hey brother, I got back with my boy Johnny Flex. We're working out, and I'm on that fitness program. Of course, I'm about 290 now, so they're gonna laugh their ass off. at the fact that you're training me, because I don't look like I've trained a day in about 10 years. So
Me either, man. I'm a poser.
so it's something we could pull off. I definitely think. John, thank you, man, for being on with me.
All right, you
I appreciate
take care. Thanks again.
All right, no problem.
All right.
Hey guys, that was Johnny Flex. Everybody, I want to thank him for being back on the Willis show. Not being back, of course. There's always an opportunity we can have him on again. And once again, thanks for all that you guys do. Like, subscribe if you like this channel, if you like this video. And again, I want to thank y'all for all the support. The channel's growing well, and who knows? We're gonna get there, man. We'll get there together. That's what I always say. We're gonna make it together. We'll get through this. So just thank YouTube, thank everybody that supports this channel, and one day, hopefully we'll get sponsors, or hopefully we'll get monetized and stuff like that, and and we'll have a real good time, because we can throw some money behind this show. So I'm sorry, I'm laughing, and I'm about to sneeze, but hey, thanks for tuning in. Jason Willis signing off, and we'll see you next time right here on The Willis Show.